It's time for another weekend of footy tips. It feels like the season's going super fast already. We're already like 2 months in, but somehow at the same time, it also feels like it was going really slow. Just the way that the fixture was at the start of the season. I don't feel like it really got going until Gather Round, but you know, 8 weeks in, and apparently I did not save my tips from last week, but I also did my tips on ESPN footy tips. So my tips for last week were I got Melbourne right, I got Hawthorn right. I thought the Bombers might upset Collingwood. I was severely mistaken on that one. I thought Geelong would get it done against Port. That was also wrong. I thought Carlton getting away from Victoria with all the Elijah Holland stuff might help them, but Fremantle just, you know, in a 10-minute period, they just put Carlton to bed. I tipped the Saints, but I didn't think it'd be 101 points. That was crazy. I was a little concerned about the Lions versus Adelaide because Jordan Dawson was coming back, and we know what he's been going through, so I thought it might galvanize them, but the Lions were too strong for the Crows. And GWS versus North Melbourne. Now, I said I didn't care about that game, and I still didn't, but it actually turned out to be a banger. And the Giants got it done by like 7 points, which was surprising because I tipped North Melbourne. Okay, first game, Pies versus Hawks. Um, so Pies got a pretty good win last weekend against the Bombers, but I was sucked into the Bombers. I thought they're showing when I think they beat Melbourne and then got within 9 or 10 points of the Suns. I thought, oh, they've turned a corner. They're looking pretty good. The midfield was doing all right. The Pies can't score. Well, couldn't score up until last weekend. They were missing a few players. I thought the Bombers would get it done, but they sucked me in, and then you know did what they did. So I mean, does that say more about Collingwood, or does that say more about Essendon, or is it a little bit of both? The Hawks are flying with it. They're third on the table, 124.5%. Collingwood are 110, which is actually surprising, but they were probably a lot less than that before they played Essendon. But I think Hawks would be way too strong for the Pies, unless the Pies play ultra defensive and they get more back and they really hunker down in the back line there. But I think if Nick Dacos doesn't shine, then there's no Pies, and he had a horrible. I've never seen him kick so bad last weekend like that. That probably the worst kicking game I've ever seen him have. But if they get it all together, it should be a competitive game. But I think the Hawks will be too strong. But I don't think the Pies will be able to hold out the Hawks. So I think the Hawks are going to win by 35 points. Bulldogs versus Dockers. Well, I definitely didn't want to tip them by 34 points. The Bulldogs have just got way too many injuries. I tipped them last week, I think it was. I can't remember who they were playing, but I tipped them last week because I thought maybe they'd galvanize and get over the line, but I was wrong. The Dockers broke Carlton in a short space of time. Tracy, Amos, Voss. Like the list goes on. I think they probably have one of the best, or if not the best, forward line in the comp. I don't see the Bulldogs being able to do anything in this game. Norton might be back, which would be very, very surprising after that massive fall that he had after like taking what probably should have been mark of the year, but the ref didn't pay the mark, even though it was a mark. I'm fairly certain, but it is what it is. But yeah, Dockers traveling, I even if they were iffy travelers, which I don't think they are anymore, I think the Dockers get this done by, geez, I'm gonna say 50 plus. I'm gonna say like 54 points. The showdown, Crows versus Port. You never know what's gonna happen in these games. Like form is irrelevant in this game. Like the hatred that these two teams have for each other. I know it's 11th versus 13th. But it should be a pretty good game. The only thing I'm concerned about is I think Jordan Dawson's brother is having his funeral or something on Wednesday. So, how many of the Couriers boys will be down from that? Um, can they bounce back for this game mentally and emotionally? But it might galvanize them. You never know. And Port would just love nothing more than to stick it to the Crows. I mean, Port did beat Geelong, but I've never seen Geelong play so bad in my life. So it's kind of which way do you look at that? Is it Geelong playing super bad, or is it Port Adelaide playing above what they can? So I'm a little torn on this one. I think it's a coin flip. Um, I'm yeah, I don't know. I'm gonna go the Crows in a close one by I'm gonna say 7 points. Next up, we got Brisbane versus Essendon. Now, this game should be elementary. This should be a Lions win by a massive amount of points. Um, but I'm just a little iffy on the Lions sometimes when they come up again, like in these type of games. Like, I think they just walk in, just assume they're going to get the job done, and then walk out. You know, and then they just play with these bad habits in the game, and they just can't get out of it, or they play down to the lesser team's level, and you know, it's just one of those things. So, but I mean, Essendon shouldn't be coming within 40, 50 points, but I know Allen's gone for 3 months now. I think Zorko will be back, so that'll free up Kitty, maybe push him up a little bit further. I'm not sure if Barry's back yet. No, I think he coughed, isn't it? So I think he's still maybe another 2 weeks away. Bailey's having a crazy season. He's putting zeros on his contract every time he plays. Harris Andrews down back, you know, the brick wall of Harris. So I think the Lions should be too strong. But if Essendon play anywhere near the way, I mean, they beat Melbourne, I think it was, who beat us. And then they almost won against the Suns, but the Suns haven't been playing super good. So the only really respectable win, I guess, is Melbourne. Melbourne were probably reading the headlines and thought they were just better than what they were. Then they dug in and they beat us. So it's hard to know, but you know, both of these teams are kind of like which team is going to show up, but more so Essendon on a weekly thing of which team is going to show up because you know they're terrible. The Lions are just, you know, they do what needs to be done most of the time, but getting up for these games seems to be a problem. But you know what? I'm gonna tip the Lions to go 60 plus in this game. Isn't this a game nobody cares about? West Coast versus Richmond. Richmond showed no signs of doing anything. And the Eagles, I mean, they got pumped by the Saints by like 101. So I'd be expecting them to have a bounce back. They're playing at home. The Tigers don't have much to offer. They're traveling. I think the Crows will get this done by, I mean, realistically, if the Eagles were any good after what they went through against the Saints, they should be winning this by like 30, 40 plus. But I don't think they will, so I'm going to go 21. Cats versus North Melbourne. I mean, North were robbed last week, so they should have won that game. Cats played absolutely horrendous football. I can see a bounce back from the Cats. I wanna say that they'll make an example out of North and sort of give North a reality check that they're their ladder position is probably a bit better than what they actually are. But North are not walkovers anymore. They're not easy beats. So this one's hard. Like I feel like this one might be a coin flip. But you know what? I'm gonna go with Geelong to sort of set an example and get back to their standards. I think they're gonna win by like 35, 36 points. Carlton versus St Kilda. 12th versus 16th. Saints coming off a good win against the Eagles, who aren't really much competition at this current point in time. Sort of similar to Essendon. You think they're getting better and then they just regress. The Blues were alright. Like the Blues are not, they're not playing bad football. They're just not consistent and they can't obviously hold a lead after halftime. I'm not sure if Wiedering is back. I think it was Wiedering who was out. He might be back. I think this should be a pretty competitive game. I don't think the Saints are going to do to the Blues what they did to the Eagles, but I think the Saints will win by 15. This should be a pretty interesting game. Swans versus D's. Swans playing at home. Probably the best team in the comp right now. It pains me to say. I don't like to say it, but you know, the fall off will come for them. It always does. Melbourne, much better than anyone was going to give them credit for. You have to put some respect on their name. But can they play away from home? They seem to be pretty good at the MCG. They beat us. They beat Richmond. You know, what are they? They're 5-2, and everyone thought they were going to be like probably either bottom four or mid pack. So credit where credit is due. But I think the Swans are going to be way too strong for them. Sort of similar to Geelong versus North. I said it might be a bit of a reality check. I think this might be the same. I don't know if Melbourne can handle it like a super skinny ground. The MCG is pretty big. SCG is not. And I think that might trouble the Ds and then the pressure from the Swans. The way they close down any space when you get the ball is the best in the comp. So Melbourne should have no time to do anything, and then we'll see how they handle the pressure. But that creates a little forward half turnover and just turnovers in general, and the Swans are pretty good at punishing you. So I think the Swans will get this done by 40. Last game of the round. The expansion club game. Suns versus Giants. I don't know what to make of the Suns. Like, they can't travel for shit, but they should be better than what they are. Their whole list is stacked with pretty much picks ones and twos. They got a multiple premiership coach, but they play this season like absolute shit. So I don't know what happened down in Tassie against the Hawks. Like their first half or quarter or whatever it was just straight dog shit. And then they basically get level and then just turn into first quarter Suns again. I don't understand what to make of this team. And the Giants, I mean, they got away with one against North because North were robbed. They've got some players back, but I mean, look at that percentage, 89.8. Suns are 114.4. I mean, I feel like traveling's not an issue for the Giants because they're always traveling. Like, sort of get the short end of the stick at the start of the season with the amount of traveling they have to do. But I just don't know which Suns are going to show up. And I'm not, I don't hold me to this, but I think the Giants have a relatively good record against the Suns and may even be ahead in wins. I think they just really don't like the Suns. But I mean, Suns won their first final last year. You'd think they'd get better, but it seems like they've won their first final and then gotten happy with themselves and now they're regressing. Uh, that being said, think I think I'm gonna go with the Suns at home to win by, let's go 17 points.